So, how Slavic men treat women. I'm from a Slavic country. I traveled to the USA, I traveled throughout Europe. I lived 2 years in Asia, and I noticed a lot of things that differ from my culture. And if you know something else, just please leave in the comments where you're from and write about any other peculiarities that exist in your culture. The first thing is Slavic men typically are very courteous. If you're a girl traveling alone, especially with large bags, Slavic men will offer you help, especially in stairs or public transport. They will open a door to enter a cafe or lift a suitcase in taxi. I won't name a country where I had this situation I'm going to tell about, but I had one 32-kilo suitcase and another smaller one. I was on the bus and suddenly it stopped abruptly. I was standing, so I couldn't keep my large suitcase properly, and it just ran over a woman's leg, and I couldn't do anything because it was too heavy. I was holding two large suitcases, and there was a young man who was just looking at that situation, and he did nothing. He didn't help, and I was just a bit surprised about that because the woman started screaming. I tried with all my might to move that suitcase, but it was too heavy. A young man was just standing just like in 1.5 meters in the same bus. He was just watching that situation. I will say this, if I saw something like that happening, I would offer my help, because you know, it's life where all people, things happen, so why don't help? And another situation was in the same country in an airport. I had to lift and put my luggage on like a scanner box, and it was too heavy to lift it, and 2-3 men, you know, big young strong man, was standing around. None of them helped. They were just watching me dealing with my luggage, and a Chinese grown woman started helping me, and we did that together. It took 2 women to lift that luggage, so you can imagine how heavy it was. And it was like, what? They work there, they scan all this luggage, etc. They did nothing, they were just standing. Let's talk about dating. So typically Slavic men do some 3D tiny things, very cute things when they start dating a woman. I talk about flowers, candies, cafes, restaurants, etc. You understand that I don't talk about 100% of men because each person is different, but typically a Slavic man would pay for a restaurant or a cafe. It's about their traditions, their culture. They just try to do some nice things for her. Of course, some girls can offer to pay or to split the bill. Typically, a man wouldn't ever say something like, okay, so you ate this, you drank that, you paid 22.
Pay me my money!
I never experienced that. That would be a bit confusing. We know that that happens. That's like, okay, I can pay for myself. And it's not about money. It's not like, yeah, I can eat or I can drink without paying, a cool night. No, it's about the very gesture. Because a lot of modern women would pay for themselves or like they would split the bill, I don't know. But seeing that gesture is very, very important. I will talk about this thing because I know that in Europe, buying flowers for a girl is not something typical, especially talking about dates. In Slavic countries, giving flowers is something very typical, very romantic and very important. I don't say that it's like rule number 1, if you have a date you will get flowers. No, in a modern world, men give flowers a bit, you know, later, like on the 3rd or the 5th date when they are more sure about that girl. I've been in a relationship for 9 years and still getting flowers is very important for me. First of all, they're beautiful. Flowers are beautiful, they smell nicely, they are pleasing to the eye. When you are in the apartment and you see those flowers and they smell, it's very romantic. Especially when we start dating, like the first date, the second date. It's like something very basic and simple to do. And I know that a lot of men would say that like, these flowers will die in 5 days. I won't spend like 15 euros for these flowers, but it's very romantic. If you want to date a Slavic girl, just bring her those flowers, she will like that 100%. Talking about holidays or birthdays, International Women's Day, yeah, by the way, International Women's Day. Okay, I will talk about that in the next part, but if talking about some celebrations like birthdays, anniversaries, etc., flowers are essential. It's like a part of the gift, because men don't give flowers like each month. I don't know, maybe 5% of men in the whole world do that, and not getting flowers on your birthday, anniversary of your relationships is something like, why? I want these flowers. So International Women's Day. So I've been living in Spain for 2 years, and I see that International Women's Day in this country and in Slavic country is dramatically different day. I will talk about Spain because I live in Spain and I see what's going on here. International Women's Day in Spain is more about the women's rights, the equality, etc. In Slavic countries, it's about women. The first thing, it's about mothers, how beautiful women are. We don't march or we don't protest in the cities. I don't know, it's a good thing or it's a bad thing. That really depends, because some people prefer having this romantic, beautiful celebration. Other women prefer like marching, etc. I respect both of those things. Being a human whose body can do just amazing things. I'm talking about giving birth, of course. For many people, it's like something very normal, like you give a birth, it's nothing special, all women do that. But just think about all the things that are going on inside of your body, and that is, okay, I start talking about all these deep conversations, etc. But in 2 words, yeah, this day is very, very different. Now let's talk about relationships and parents' role in these relationships. I've heard, I don't know for 100%, but I've heard a lot about that Italian men are very connected to their mothers. How to say that? Slavic girls prefer when men, of course, he loves, respects, and has perfect relationships or just good relationships with his mother, but his main woman in his life, if we are talking about marriage, yeah, like a couple, a husband and a wife, the main woman in his life must be his wife, not his mother, because he's building these relationships, he's building a new family, a new young family with a wife, the mother of his future children. And I'm sure 100% Slavic girls, Slavic women respect men that have these, borders between his mom and his new family. It's very, very important. I know that the situation is pretty different talking about, I know just about Italy, but if you have more information, if you're from a country where the same thing like in Italy happened, just comment about that, because I'm really interested in these, cultural differences. Maternity leave. Very interesting topic, because I was discussing this thing recently with my fiancé. When a Slavic girl gives birth, she gets, like, if I'm not mistaken, 3 years of the maternity leave. She gets it. A father keeps working. I know that in Europe that really depends. Like, some men stay at home with their children. If I'm not mistaken, that depends on the income, etc., etc., like who prefers doing what. But in Slavic countries, mostly women stay at home with the child and the man keeps working. That's what we are used to. It like a bit differs from European countries. Another pretty hot topic is money, because in Slavic countries, typically, a Slavic woman, I repeat, typically, that doesn't mean I don't talk about all the women that exist. I talk about typically Slavic woman prefers her husband being a main source of income. And it's not only about women, it's about men also. Men prefer the same. They want to be a stronger one, more responsible about income and money and all these materialistic things. Of course, in some families, women earn more money. In other families, it's vice versa. But typically, a man tries his best to earn more money to support a family. Let's talk about building a family and proposals. Typically, Slavic couples get married much younger comparing to any other European couples. And I talk about the range like 23, 27 years old. This is the most common age, the most popular age for getting married. Yes, we do that pretty young, and we women give birth before 30. Again, I don't say that that's like a thing that all women do. No, Of course, there are a lot of women who prefer, I don't know, build a career first. I know that in Europe, people seeing a 21, 23 years old girl, they would like be a bit, surprised, like, why have you done that so early? For us, it's a bit other thing. We love and we respect all this idea of being and building a family, giving birth and being in tune with your child. You have a smaller age gap, etc. If a couple is in relationship for around like 4 or 5 years, it's like a lot, and the man like has to propose, because like for 5 years, what are we doing all this time? And also getting married is like a logical step for us. Like, we've been in a relationship for a long time, now we have to build a family. We can just have a child and we don't get married. It's not about Slavic couples, but of course different things happen. I know that in Spain, young people get married after 30. Before 30, they are very, very young and they don't do all these things with families and children. And there are more grown-up couples with newborns. Another spicy thing is relationships. What I've heard a lot about relationships in France, that people there, they can have relationships but also dating with other people. In Slavic countries, this thing is more like about cheating, because if you're in a relationship with a man or a girl, you can't date someone else. Of course, people do that sometimes. It's not okay for us. If we are in relationship, we are in relationship together, and no people can be inside this couple, just two. Relationship is about two people. About splitting the duties, talking about cooking, earning money, cleaning. New age couples, for example, like in my relationship, we prefer split these duties, but it's not like you earn money and I cook. In modern families, these borders are a bit erased. But talking about, for example, my parents and their generation is so different, because families of that age have the different style of life. A man earns money and a woman earns money, raise the child, cleans the house, cooks, maybe buys some clothes for her man. It's so different. New age modern couples, they prefer, I'd say, splitting the duties a bit, but still working like a team. A man earns money and she also earns money, but they like clean the house together, and he doesn't cook, but she cooks. We help each other. But even now in modern families, some couples have this style of life when man earns money and a woman, for example, raises a child and cooks. So that really depends on the family. When my mom hears that, hey mom, my fiance is cooking for himself right now, and she's like, what? Why don't you cook for him? Why don't you make breakfast for him? Why does he help you to clean your apartment? So the first like 2-3 years, she was a bit, you have to cook for him, you have to do this and that, you have to be a good wife, you have to be like a housewife. God bless, he doesn't agree with that. He also thinks that we have to work like a family, like a team. We have to help each other. If he can cook and I don't have time right now, he can do that. If he's tired and he's working a lot, I can cook. We have to adjust our life and our daily routine. I've just remembered one pretty funny thing about gifts, and I will talk about that like a separate topic, because it's very funny and people are arguing about that still in Slavic countries. So we have some special days. There are girls who think that a man has to gift something. A basic minimum is flowers, candies, probably a dinner at the restaurant, and a gift. So like 3 or 2 or all the 4 things that I've just mentioned. Some women think that a man has to gift, has to bring something for her, do something nice and like a surprise, and she just can be very beautiful on that very day. I can just buy beautiful lingerie and that's it. I'm a gift from my man, that's enough. It's very funny. To be honest, I don't agree with that. I like getting gifts, but I also like giving gifts and creating something nice and interesting. So yeah, there are Slavic couples where a woman thinks that she doesn't have to gift anything. She's just a woman, she's beautiful, and that is enough. And a lot of men agree with that. They're totally okay, they're fine with that. Like, yeah, I will give you gifts, but you will give me just nothing. I don't know, maybe they're crying in the night because they don't get gifts, like never. It's a bit sad. I don't agree with that. We are all children inside in our souls. We are all dreaming about something, and we all want something new or tasty or interesting or useful. When a couple has any special day or celebration and man would like to give something to his woman, but he doesn't have, I don't know, imagination or time, whatever, he can just transfer money to her bank account and she will get a gift by herself. Or they will just go to like a shopping mall together and she will choose a gift and he will buy that. I don't like that. There can be exceptions when he knows what he wants to gift, but he's not sure about size or color or whatever it is. So it's pretty nice. The next thing is beauty. Slavic men don't do all these beauty routine things, like going to a beauty salon to make his nails done or whatever. They don't do that. It's something like they go to a barber shop, like something normal, but doing nails or something else, it's not about them.
Hey, they totally match. They look great. They look great. How you doing?
In Slavic couples, women do a lot of different things. They just do everything. They do nails, hair, eyelashes, eyebrows, what else? Spa, massages, manicure, pedicure, just everything that exists and they can do or adjust or make it even more beautiful, they do that. Men are more relaxed and they just enjoy beauty of his woman.